The WNBA just pulled off one of the most hyped draft nights the league has ever seen. Ratings were up, social media was buzzing, champagne was flowing, and everyone was talking about the future of women's basketball. But as soon as the cameras shut off and confetti settled, reality hit hard. The league's biggest celebration is basically on pause, because behind the scenes, everything is stuck. Right now, the WNBA is in the middle of a messy, uncomfortable standoff over its collective bargaining agreement. The CBA that dictates how money, contracts, free agency, and day-to-day life actually work for players. And this week, Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham put into words what a lot of people inside the league have been thinking, but not everyone has been willing to say publicly. In a very honest moment, she admitted what might be the most inconvenient truth about the WNBA. The business side still isn't where it needs to be. She talked about understanding that, from a straight financial perspective, the league hasn't always made money, and that there's still a sizable amount of cash being lost keeping things running. For anyone who follows women's sports and wants to see players get what they deserve, that's tough to hear. But it's part of the reality driving this entire fight. What she's saying actually lines up with something we've heard before at the highest level. Back in 2018, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said the NBA was losing more than $10 million a year supporting the WNBA. That wasn't a rumor. It came straight from the top, and it hasn't magically fixed itself. A 2024 report from the New York Post went even further, estimating that losses had climbed to around $40 million in a single season. So when Sophie says there's been a big chunk of money lost, she's not being dramatic. She's echoing what the numbers already show. At the same time, it's important to understand what this isn't. It's not a denial of how far the WNBA has come. The growth has been real. Viewership has jumped. Arena crowds are bigger and louder. Stars like Caitlin Clark, Aya Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, and others have helped drag women's basketball further into mainstream conversation than it's ever been before. The buzz is there. The demand is there. The jerseys, the clips, the social media traffic, all of that is trending up. The problem is that popularity and profitability don't always move at the same speed. The W is in that lag period, where the excitement is finally catching up, but the financial structure hasn't fully adapted. Right now, the league is still operating under a system shaped by a $75 million capital raise back in 2022, money brought in by investors who want to see long-term growth and, eventually, returns. That's good for keeping the league alive and building, but it also means revenue is sliced in a way that leaves a very small piece for the people actually on the court. Analysts who looked at the numbers estimate that WNBA players currently get less than 10% of the league's total revenue. Compare that to the NBA, where players and owners are closer to a 5-0-5-0 split, and you can see right away why frustration is boiling over. From the owner's side, the message is, we've been absorbing losses for years. We're still losing money. We can't just hand out a bigger share until we're stable. From the player's side, the response is, we're the reason this is finally growing, and we deserve a fair chunk of what we're bringing in. Sophie Cunningham managed to walk that line in her comments. She didn't pretend the losses weren't real. She acknowledged the business reality. But that didn't make the current situation any less infuriating for her. Because even if you understand the math, you can still be fed up with how negotiations are being handled and how little progress is being made. And that's where her tone shifted from matter-of-fact to blunt. According to ESPN, the league and the Players Union recently held an in-person meeting to try to move the CBA forward. This was the kind of meeting people hoped would bring a serious offer, some momentum, or at least a clear path forward. Instead, reports say the league showed up without a new formal proposal. For players who are literally in limbo, unable to sign contracts, unsure where they'll be playing or what they'll be making, that kind of stall felt like a slap in the face. That's when Sophie dropped a line that really made waves. She said that with the way negotiations are going, it feels like the WNBA is the laughingstock of sports right now. You don't hear that kind of raw honesty from players very often, especially about their own league. It's harsh, but it tells you where the frustration level is. Imagine being part of a league that finally has everyone talking, finally has packed arenas and real buzz, and then realizing you're stuck because two sides can't even move the ball a few steps down the field on a new agreement. The freeze on free agency is where all of this hits real life. Right now, with no new CBA in place, players can't sign deals. That means people don't know what city they'll be living in next season. They don't know what their salary will be, what benefits they have, or what their long-term security looks like. This isn't just some paperwork delay. It's a full stop on careers, on planning, and on the stability that pros in other leagues can take for granted. Think about how that looks from the outside. You've got a league that has never had more attention, but it can't get its own contract sorted out. Major sponsors are waking up to the WNBA. Networks are paying more attention. Tickets are selling. And players are stuck checking their phones, waiting for news that never comes. That disconnect is exactly why Sophie's laughingstock line landed so hard. She's not saying the WNBA as a product is a joke. She's saying the way this process is being handled makes everyone involved look unprofessional. At the core of it all is the same question women's sports have been wrestling with for years. How do you create a financial model that respects both the reality of where things are and the potential of where they're going? Owners look back at decades of operating at a loss and argue for caution. Players look forward at record-breaking metrics and argue that without better pay and better conditions, that momentum will stall out. The revenue split is the center of that tug-of-war. Less than 10% of players, compared to roughly half in the NBA, is not a small gap, it's a gulf, and the players know it. They see what male pros are getting, not just in the NBA, but across major men's leagues. And they're asking why, in a league that's clearly growing, they're still being asked to accept such a small slice. Meanwhile, the league side leans on those loss numbers. $10 million annually at one point, an estimated $40 million last season, and insists there isn't much more to get without putting the whole structure at risk. But one thing is clear, sitting still is not an option. The WNBA is at a point where it either turns a surge of attention into a new, sustainable financial model, or it risks wasting what might be the best moment in its history. The longer the CBA battle drags on, the more it undercuts the positive narrative around the league. Fans who were ready to jump in after that historic draft now have to hear about stalled talks, frozen free agency, and players feeling disrespected. That's why so many people keep talking about the need for a creative middle ground. It's not just a buzz phrase. The league and the Players Association are going to have to build something that doesn't look exactly like the NBA's structure and doesn't just repeat the same old pattern the W has lived under for years. Maybe that means phase in revenue sharing, where the player's percentage goes up as certain profit benchmarks are hit. Maybe it means clearer transparency around where money is going, so players can see exactly how their presence impacts the bottom line. Whatever the details look like, both sides have to be willing to move away from the extremes. Because here's the thing, the world really is watching now. The WNBA is no longer operating in a corner where only diehard fans pay attention. When players call out negotiations publicly, it trends. When a big name signs overseas because the money isn't right at home, people notice. When a player like Sophie Cunningham says on the record that it feels like they're being laughed at by the rest of sports, that becomes part of the league's reputation. It doesn't have to stay that way. This same moment that feels like a crisis could also be the turning point. If the WNBPA and the league manage to come out of this with a deal that gives players a more meaningful stake in the revenue, protects the long-term health of teams, and unlocks free agency again, the narrative flips. Suddenly, the WNBA becomes an example of how women's sports can evolve, not just on the court, but in the boardroom. On the other hand, if this drags on, if more meetings happen with no proposals, if free agency stays on ice and players keep feeling like their careers are being treated like an afterthought, that bright future becomes a lot harder to sell. Young players watching from college or overseas will start wondering what kind of professional life is really waiting for them. Fans who showed up for the draft will drift away. Sponsors will hesitate. Right now, the league is standing at a crossroads that's as much about respect and power as it is about money. Sophie Cunningham's comments cut through the polished language and put it in plain terms. She understands the business numbers, but she's tired of feeling like the people who make the WNBA worth watching are the last ones being taken care of. For a league that keeps talking about momentum, growth, and the future of the game, this is a test. Can the people in charge match the energy the players and fans are bringing? Can they build a new economic script instead of clinging to the old one? Or will they let this opportunity stall out? Caught between past losses and a future they're too hesitant to fully invest in? One thing is certain. The players aren't going to stop talking. The fans aren't going to stop watching what happens next. And the next time the WNBA has a historic night, whether the draft, a sold-out arena, or a record-breaking finals, everyone will remember how this CBA fight was handled. The champagne can wait. The real celebration will be when the league's business finally catches up to its potential, and the people driving that success are treated like partners, not afterthoughts.